Here is another comrade who is very close to us, Apti Alaudinov, please.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude for inviting me to the premiere.
But I would like to look back a little at our history to emphasize just how important it is for us that we have such people among us. You know, those of us who are a bit older, all remember the great Soviet Union. The great Soviet Union, which had a very strong ideology. We had very serious ideas ahead of us. We knew what we were striving for. And every day as we woke up, we moved forward. We knew what we had to do and how we had to do it. That is, we had, a kind of step-by-step path. We knew exactly where we ultimately needed to arrive. In order to be the kind of people who love their homeland and defend it, my father was also a military officer. And I grew up with this since childhood. I don't know, for me, the main ideal in my life is my father as a military man who always presented himself in such a way that, his morning would start with him strictly, as it should be, getting himself ready. Where for us, our father was always the example. We knew that we had to start our morning with loving our motherland. That is the beginning of our morning. And if you love your motherland, it turns out there are many things you have to do in the morning, even before you go to work. For 30 years, we were somehow absorbed by all this outside information. So it means there's a war with us, a war with the cops. There is a war against us everywhere, on every possible level. And it is impossible. Of course, in the end, it turned out that we started to think that we were enemies to each other, not just us here, but people sitting in their villages, in rural areas, in kishvars, began to believe that, in fact, all the evil comes from one another. It was when we truly woke up that we began to unite. And today's Russia is no longer the Russia it was 3 years ago. At the start of the special operation, it's a different Russia now. It must understand itself and strive to be as great as it always has been. That is its only design when everyone is working towards its revival. We truly need a foundation and ideals that we will constantly demonstrate and teach to future generations, to our children. So the question arises, over this period, over these 30 years, how many films can we truly boast about? Films that genuinely show the truth from the inside. Each person here could tell their own story. I see here, for example, commanders and generals who have spent many years at war. Each of them could tell thousands, hundreds of stories about how someone died, how a shell landed somewhere, how someone was at odds with someone else. And then it turned out that, in fact, our real enemies weren't on the other side at all. They were right in front of us. So how do we convey this truth to our children? How can I explain to them that we are one single whole, that we are not divided by nationality, religion, height, appearance, or skin color? How do we achieve this? In order to do this, as Vladimir Vladimirovich said just recently, we need a new elite to emerge. And what a joy it is that we truly have such people now, both in poetry and in music. This new elite